So I'm curious, for those of you that are on, what interested you in this workshop? What about this process was interesting to you? So I'm going to ask you, if you are online, go ahead and click the chat tab. Is it the scheduling? Is it the desire to be more productive? Is it um, desiring to plan better? Is it wanting to be more intentional with certain areas of your life? Or was it the life planning? I would love to hear. So if you're on the computer, go ahead and jot in the chat tab. I'd love to hear your responses there as I get going. If we haven't met, I'm Michelle Height. I am a wife and mom of three. I've got a 5-year-old son and twin 2-year-old. They just turned twin 2-year-old girls. And I am a literacy coach part-time in a school, as well as I've been doing some health coaching online, just really helping women to live their best lives and using fitness and nutrition as a part of that. And so one thing that keeps surfacing as I'm getting to know ladies and talking with ladies about struggles is just the fact that life is busy and we are juggling so many things, and it just seems to keep getting worse, and yet time is flying. And especially for those of us who have little ones, or regardless of what season of life you're in, you look back and you go, wow, just 3 years ago, time has just flown. And so wanting to be more intentional with our time. And so I really designed the Intentional Living Academy out of that. And what I'm going to share tonight is a small piece of what will be in that Intentional Living Academy, but I just wanted to give you some really tangible tips. These are things that have been super helpful to me. And I thought the timing was perfect with a lot of us wrapping up school and heading into the summer. And for a lot of us, our schedules change. We desire to have a lot more fun and free time, but our schedules change. And so how do you make the most of that? And so I'm just going to share with you a little bit tonight about what I've done and how about 5 to 10 minutes a day makes a huge difference in my days. So basically, I'll just kind of dive in here. And again, feel free. Yes, Adrienne, I just saw your productivity. I totally agree with that. That has been a huge struggle of mine. And I'll be frank and tell you that, it's still something I'm working toward. We're never, I think, as productive as we want to be, but definitely something, that I continue striving toward. But this has helped tremendously. So I'm going to dive into the content here and tell you kind of what I do, and feel free to ask questions in the chat as we go through. Basically, on Sunday night or Monday morning, I sit down, and for me, it's Monday morning. I tried Sunday night, and to be honest, I usually either get talked into watching something on Netflix, or I'm just still recouping from the weekend, trying to get everyone ready for school and work to start the next day. But for me, Monday morning works really well. I'm an early riser, and so after I work out and after my Bible study and prayer time, I sit down and I go through this process. And so on Monday morning, I go ahead and I just do a brain dump. And if you're not familiar with that, all that means is I sit down with a pen and a piece of paper, and I just start writing down everything I need to accomplish for the week. If you know me well, you know I'm a little type A. So my brain dump gets somewhat categorized into, I just kind of draw my 4 quadrants on my paper. So things that I need to do for my work from home job, things I just need to do for the family, and then one of my quadrants is errands, and the other's kind of extra that doesn't fit somewhere. But I just start jotting down everything I can think of. I do also go ahead and I open up my calendar and look at, I have a month page where I just jot down all of our appointments and everything. So I'm kind of looking ahead. Do we have birthday parties coming up? Do I need to buy a gift for something? So that goes in the errands category. Do I need to cook something for somewhere I'm going? And so I get all of those things done. So just brain dump, I get it all on paper so that it's not floating up here, because I did that for a long time and I was just constantly forgetting things. So I get it all on paper. Again, I'm a paper pen girl, and I do best that way. I know a lot of people that use Evernote for this, and they love it. You can easily categorize in Evernote. And I know other people who use a Google Doc, and so they can pull it up on their phone, they can pull it up on the computer. So do what works for you. The next thing I do on Monday morning after I get it all down is I read through my life plan, and I'll be talking a little bit more about that toward the end. But basically, I just want to make sure that I'm focused on the things that matter most. And again, I'll talk a little bit more about that toward the end. But that has really helped me to not just guess at what I want to be productive at, but to be very strategic about where I'm putting my time and my focus. So then after I actually read through that, this sounds kind of nerdy, but I actually, again, I'm a paper pen girl. I've got it on my computer, but I sit down and I just read it out loud. It's just several pages, and I read it out loud, and it helps me a lot go, oh, yeah, I wanted to do that. I haven't gotten to that. So then the next thing I do is I fill in my appointments for the week in my calendar. So I'm going to share with you a link, and I'm also going to be sending these links out. So don't feel like you have to go there right now, but oh, I hope it's going to work. Let's see. I'm going to try and copy and paste it here in the chat. So if you are on that way, let's see. There it is. So if you are on the chat, you'll be able to open that up. Basically what that is a link to Day Designer. Day Designer is one of many, many calendars. It's not one I'm necessarily telling you to go get, except that what this link will do is give you a free printout of their page. So for the last year, I've used this free printout every day. So I printed it once and I took it to Kinko's, and yes, Carol, I am absolutely going, I started to say that, I absolutely am going to send out those links to you, so don't worry about going there right now, as well as if the recording goes well, I'm going to send out a link to that as well. So yeah, don't feel like you have to go there now. But basically what that link does is it takes you to a place where you can enter your email and they'll send you a free printable. And so, like I said, I've used that for almost a year. And I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but basically it's a one page for the day, and I print it out, I keep it on a clipboard, and my cute clipboard's actually at school right now, so but I have just kept it on a clipboard and everything's right there. So what I do next is I basically lay my week out and I start filling in appointments. So everything first goes into my month calendar, and then I just fill it in for that week, so I have really a good idea of what I'm looking at. As far as appointments and anything, yeah, out of the ordinary that's going on. And so that's kind of what I do Monday. I just go ahead and get a couple things, and that may just be 3 or 4 things. If there's a doctor's appointment, if we've got dinner with somebody, something going on at church, I go ahead and get those things filled in. Then, like it's Monday and I've just done that, so I'll go ahead, Carol, I get up at about 5. So I typically get up, I kind of alternate back and forth whether I exercise first or to get my Bible study and prayer time done. But this really takes, I probably take 10 to 15 minutes on Monday morning because I'm looking at the whole week. But each of the days, which I'm going to go through here in a second, literally 5 minutes. I can get it done in 5 minutes. So after I get my week kind of done and in my clipboard, which I did just invest, and it is an investment, I'll be honest with you, in the Day Designer, the big fat one, which it's fat. I hope I don't regret that, but my copies, I'm just getting sick of juggling the copies, but I think that's a great place to start if you're interested in looking at this. So next thing I do is basically I'm looking at my day. And so every day I pick 3 things that have to be done. So either the 3 most important things, like they have to be done because there's a deadline, or we're going to dinner somewhere that night and I've got to get something cooked and I've got a busy day, but that's one of the most important things. So I pick 3 things. As far as my business goes, I'll pick, when I'm working from home, I'll pick something that just I've got to get done to move me forward. So my 3 things look different every day. But basically, if you're familiar with Eat That Frog by Brian Tracy, he says, do the things that you don't want to do the most, but that matter the most first thing in the morning. So when I go ahead and choose those 3 things, and at the top of that sheet that I referred to, you'll actually see a spot for the 3 things right there. So I go ahead and just jot those down, whatever those 3 things are. I look at my brain dump list and see, okay, what on here has got to be done. And I go ahead and fill it in. Also on that sheet, you'll see like time at 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'll go ahead and fill that in. If I've got errands to run, I'm real strategic about where I go when, so that I'm not just driving all around town. So I might block out an hour, and typically I do run errands on Monday mornings for about an hour. I hit multiple things, and I can go ahead and just get any of that brain dump stuff kind of put on my paper, but I'm focusing on the 3 things. So then my week, I've kind of filled in what has to be done. And then the next thing I do is I look at my ideal schedule. Again, I'm going to tell you I'm type A, but I know people who are not type A that are doing this and loving it. So don't discount this when you see me in my colored, because it's a little ridiculous. And I'm going to share a link to this as well. But basically, and I was going to clean it up before I showed it to you, but basically here is my week. And I'm color coded. Again, you don't have to do that. But basically, I go through and block out, okay, in an ideal, this is my ideal schedule. So in an ideal week, and we know that no week is perfectly ideal, right? So that's why I'm not living off of this schedule. I'm using this to kind of fill in the blanks on my other schedule. So in an ideal week, we get up and do breakfast at 7. I'm working to get Jay and Kason out the door to school. I don't work at school on Mondays. I work from home. And so I'm working to get them out the door. At 8 o'clock, that's kind of my recover the house, so I'm just kind of working around. I'm going to see if I can share that link with you to this. And it's just simply an Excel document. And, oh no, let's see. I'll share. Okay. It's basically an Excel document. So you'd just be going in, making it work for you. So at 8 o'clock, I'm just kind of recovering the house. And then at 8:30, I actually have on here play with my kids, with my girls, because they're home. And I'm going to be really honest with you and tell you, before I started this, I was not really good at this. I was not reading. I'm a reading specialist. I was not reading books to them, people. And so I'm just confessions. So this makes me really take time and sit on the floor and play. And that's something that brings me so much joy, but I don't know why it's so hard to stop in our crazy schedule and do that. So I sit down on the floor with my kids and play for 30 minutes. We read books, we play dress up or in the kitchen or whatever. And before, I always felt so much stress that I needed to be getting everything done that I just wasn't taking time to do the things that mattered most. And so basically, I put this ideal schedule together. Typically, we try to run errands from 9 to 10 on Monday mornings. And so what I do, I'll kind of get back to my daily. So once I've got my appointments for that day or anything that is already scheduled in, I just basically take my ideal schedule and I just fill in the blanks, so super easy. So I'll fill in, pick up Kason because I pick him up every Monday, Tuesday, and Friday at 2:30. And so I just kind of fill in the day. It doesn't take much time at all, and I'm done. And so then I just leave it on my kitchen counter, and as the day goes by, I cross things out. I do the same thing at school on the days that I'm working there. I get to school, I kind of brainstorm what I'm doing for the day. I block out who I've already got appointments with. I fill in the rest, and I just cross it off as I go. And some things aren't, something might take longer than I planned. I'm not so rigid that I get so caught up in that, but I am telling you, I cannot even begin to tell you the difference that this made in my productivity and the difference it made in the things that really matter. So another thing that came out of my life planning is marriage. Jay and I really sat down to talk about this, and I would have told you before I was doing life planning that marriage was something that I really valued and that was very important to us. And when we sat down to really look at what we were doing to grow our marriage, there wasn't much there. And so we together talked through, what would make the biggest difference for us. And so we have blocked out 30 minutes each night for us just to sit and talk. And I cannot tell you the difference it's made. Again, I wasn't doing that before life planning, but it helped me recognize wow, that makes a difference. And so we don't do it every night. Jay is at school, working events a lot of nights. But the nights that he's home, we put the kids down and we sit down and just talk. TV's off and we just talk. about our day, about what, it's not always depth of anything, it's frustrations or things that need to be done, but it has made such a difference. So that's something that goes on my ideal schedule, because in an ideal day I get to that. So I hope that makes a little bit of sense. So the other thing that I've done, and again, I mean, I've said this several times, I'm very type A, but I'm not locked into this. I'm not married to following exactly how it goes. For me, a Monday through Friday, and again, it's so messy, but a Monday through Friday works really well. Saturday and Sunday, I don't want to feel like I'm scheduled to death. Like, those are my days to really enjoy my family. So instead of actually, now when the day comes, I do kind of block out, but I don't write the full day out. What I do instead on those days, and it's not even typed right now, is I have a checklist. And I just, kind of make sure that I've made time to get those couple things done on whatever day I'm going to aim to do them. But I really kick back and relax. It's not like I'm so scheduled on those days that I can't get out of my framework. Questions at this point? Anybody have any questions as we're going through? This really, I just can't even tell you what a difference. And like I said, I've been following this kind of ideal schedule. I came up with this last year when I was staying home with the girls. But the life planning is what's really changed how I've framed the schedule, and making sure that I am implementing the things that matter most to me. So I'm not getting down the road and going, oh, my girls grew so fast and I didn't, I had the opportunity to be home with them some, but I didn't take advantage of it. Or I wish I had sat on the floor and played more. Honestly, I wouldn't say that now, because I do it. So it's made a huge difference. So I want to move into a little bit about our summer schedule. So I'm curious what kinds of things you're wanting to accomplish or focus on this summer. So it could be you're wanting to do some kind of a project, you're wanting to dive in and do something fun with your kids. I'll tell you, just as you're, yes, I do still have little ones. And oh, I bet that's so true, Jen, with weekend sports and activities, that a calendar is necessary. That is such a good point. Yeah, we're not at that point. We do have a few more t-ball games than I wish we had. But yeah, we're not quite there. But I'm sure that's so true, that the schedule is totally necessary to get things done. So as far as the ideal, I'll be 100% honest with you and tell you, I have started kind of my brain dump for the summer. I've got just a list of things going, projects I want to get done. I am embarrassingly behind on my kids' albums. Like, they don't have any. And so I go to my sister's house and I see all of her beautiful albums, and I'm like, yeah, someday I'm going to get on Shutterfly and accomplish that. And so one of my goals for the summer, and you can ask me at the end of the summer if I got this done, is to get my kids' first year album. And I kind of get to cheat with the girls, because they won't have the same album, but I can kind of make a framework and then go on and switch pictures. But I will get that done. Yeah, great idea, because the kids could even help. So that's one thing I want to get done. We also have a lot of house projects that are on kind of my project list. So as I was brain dumping, I was brainstorming projects. Another thing I was brainstorming through is what I want to accomplish in a day. So I've already started talking to Kaysen about how we are going to have Hype Family School this summer. My darling little now 5-year-old is going to be repeating pre-K, and we have a lot of work to do on letters and reading. And like I mentioned, yes, I'm a reading specialist, and my kid, is going to need some extra help. So we are going to dive in. I'm setting aside just literally 10 minutes a day for us to play reading fun letter games, and do some number stuff as well. But just, he's so excited about it. Like, I've been already talking it up, and he asks me every day if we're going to start. So I probably need to get that a little bit organized so that we can dive in. But that's one thing. I don't want to get to the end of the summer and go, oh, I wish I had done that. Another thing I'm working on is I really want to be doing a Bible study with our kids daily. Our 2-year-olds, we've got an awesome little just picture Bible study. It's from Puggles, if you're familiar with Puggles. It's an Awana for the little ones. But we're going to dive in and do that for 5 minutes a day. So that's another thing I'm going to just block out, because if it's not on my ideal schedule, if it's not planned, it will not happen. I'm just that kind of person. It's got to be written down, and it's got to be somewhere that I can easily make it happen. So, and then other things like, library story time. I'm kind of looking ahead at some fun things we can do. I think Jay is going to try and take off one day a week so we can do a family something. So we're brainstorming some fun family opportunities to do as well. And again, if you have questions as I'm going through this, feel free to write in the chat. But again, I mentioned the ideal schedule. I've been doing that for almost probably a little over a year. I say almost a year, but probably a little over a year. But that has changed day and night through the life planning. And I just want to explain a little bit about how that works and introduce you a little city. Yes, Carol, we've done it the last couple summers, and we will be doing the city, the county library program again, Casey's super excited about that. So my Intentional Living Academy, we are going to be diving into this. It's going to be a 4-week program. We'll spend the first half of it going through an assessment and really looking at the different life accounts, and then from there writing our life plan. And so I want to read off those different life accounts, and I want you to really think about 3 or 4 of them, what sticks out to you that you want to be more intentional and purposeful with. And so here they are, and I'm not necessarily asking you to share. You're welcome to if you want to, but just do any of these stick out? Are these things you want to improve? Are you where you want to be with them? When you get 5 years down the road, are you going to wish you would change something? 1, your spiritual life. 2, marriage. 3, parenting. The 4th one is your health, finances, your career, self-development or self-care. And I'll be honest, that is one that came out huge when I took my assessment, that I am not taking care of myself. And so that's something else that I've really worked to create some more time for me. Number 8 is your social life, and 9 is hobbies. And I laugh at that one because I'm like, yeah, who has time for hobbies? But anyway, it's to me, that's part of self-care. It's finding what is important and brings us joy and helps us feel like we are taking care of ourselves. So I want to invite each of you to take a step just to but to improve the area of your life that you just thought through. So as I read through those, which ones stuck out? And I want to invite you to join me for the Intentional Living Academy as we dive in and really identify the areas in our life, come up with a plan, and implement bettering our lives. One thing as I was going through this, I feel really strongly that the Lord has gifted me this life, and it's my job to take care of it and to make the best choices and to honor Him in what I do. And I feel like this process has really helped me to hone in on that and just be more intentional. It's, with finances, we know if you want to improve your finances, you make a budget, you come up with a plan, and then you implement it. And so why not in all of these other areas do the same thing, is, come up with a plan so that you can move forward and live the life, 1, that He's called you to, and 2, that brings you joy and fulfillment. So again, my group, the Intentional Living Academy, will be all online. And the first half of it will be going through the assessment, writing of the life plan, which I'll provide a lot of support for that. The second half of it will be actually putting it into practice. So we'll, this is a small part of what we'll be doing, but I've got all kinds of resources and things to share. The goal setting, the writing of the life plan doesn't mean anything if you don't have a plan to live it out. So my goal for you at the end of this is not just to end it with this big, fancy written, where you want to be, but how are you actually going to make that happen? How are you going to put it in place so that your life reflects what you wanted, you identified you wanted your life to look like? So the program will include the book that you'll need to go through the process of writing your life plan. Michael Hyatt it's a brand new book called Living Forward, and we'll be going through the life plan process. It'll really support us in the first 2 weeks of the program. I'll provide you with the templates you need to actually write the life plan, to create your ideal schedule, all of the resources that you'll need to implement. We will have 2 online group calls. And those will be most likely the second and fourth weeks. One, right before you're writing your life plan, I'll provide a lot of support about how I did that and what worked really well. And then in the fourth week, really talking about the moving forward, because we won't just end at week 4. This is something that's going to continue to be implemented. And so we'll have a group call on that. You'll also have an individual call and we'll focus really on what you want to focus on that. I'll definitely have some things that we'll talk about first, but then we'll just kind of see where the conversation takes us and what you're most focused on. That can even be, once your life plan's written, just looking over it together, or if there's a specific area that you're struggling, let's talk through that. There will be an individual community support in a Facebook group, and I think the community support is huge for this. I have found through my health groups that accountability makes all the difference. And then also having people to bounce things off of, to post and go, okay, I'm not sure about this, ideas, where you're all going through the same process together. There will be daily deliverables, assignments, and then some content videos. So sharing, I'll share some videos of things similar to this with the ideal schedule, but kind of walking you through things to try. You'll also get an adult coloring book. There is nothing as soothing as coloring. I have been coloring more with my girls. That's another thing I've been a little bit more intentional about just in the last week or two since a conversation with one of you. And that brings a lot of just relaxation. So I've got an adult coloring book that goes along with what we'll be doing. And you'll finish the group with a completed life plan. And I truly believe that this group will bring a clearer sense of direction, habits that will support your priorities, and that you will be living a more intentional, purposeful, and productive life as a result of being in this group. And honestly, I feel so confident about this that I'm offering a full money-back guarantee, that if you go through the month and you stay with, you do the assignments, you do, you really stick with the process, but don't see any results, I will give you your money right back. Because my goal here is not just to get people in. My goal is to bring life change. I want your life to be different as a result of this. So if you are ready to buy or to join the group, I'm going to go ahead and post a link. And again, this link will be in, let's see if it'll let me again. This link will be, gonna give me fits. This link will be in the email that I send out as well. There it is. And the program, I failed to mention this part, the program is $97. That includes the book you're going to get, all the resources I just went through, the group calls, the group, the support from me, and really, defining your life plan as well as having a process to move you forward. So I feel really, really confident that that you're going to be so grateful that you went through this process, and you are going to see tangible results as a result of going through it. So registration will end at the end of the week. I am going to reduce the price. I mentioned that it was $97. I'm going to reduce the price to $80 until midnight tonight. So if you decide to go ahead and reserve your spot, and that link that I sent out, and I will send out via email here shortly, will take you to it. You can go ahead and get signed up and reserve your spot. It'll be $80 until the end of the night. So thank you for jumping on. I would love to hear how this process of really planning for productivity, really being intentional, taking the 5 minutes to define what you want to do. I'd love to hear how that works for you. So what parts of it you implement, and if you see some results. So I'm going to stick around for just a second. If you have any questions, feel free to comment in the chat tab. I will get an email out to you here really quickly. And I hope to have some of you join our group. It's truly, I've talked to some amazing women, and it's going to be an awesome group. So I look forward to talking to you soon. Thanks, Carol. You guys all have a great night, and we'll talk soon.